Every single American is gonna be deeply affected by the crisis that's unfolding in California right now. The state has almost 25 million acres of farmland. It produces the vast majority of the fruits and vegetables we consume in the United States. However, as a catastrophic megadrought has started to devastate millions of acres of crops, California's agricultural production is being dramatically reduced. And in times when severe supply chain disruptions are resulting in widespread shortages, the loss of all these crops means that we're about to face even more acute shortages and even higher food prices. That is going to be a serious issue for the entire population, especially after a year where more than half of Americans experience some level of financial pain. Authorities have been deeply concerned about the impacts of this weather emergency, and they've been closely monitoring weather forecast updates to prevent being caught off guard in face of a potential disaster. According to the official U.S. Drought Monitor website, nearly the whole of the California area is experiencing either extreme drought or exceptional drought at this point. Conditions have been so alarming that Governor Gavin Newsom has decided to declare a drought emergency in 41 of the state's 58 counties, which are home to more than 37 million Californians. In his announcement, Newsom said the state will be facing yet another hot, dry summer ahead, but it's gonna be something like no one has ever seen before. Newsom said at a news conference, "This is without precedent," speaking from the bed of Lake Mendocino, which has been reduced to arid, cracked clay. Months ago, he would have been standing before 40 foot of water. Oftentimes, we overstate the word historic, but this is indeed a historic moment, he said. On the same note, the California Natural Resources Agency Secretary Wade Crowfoot urged in his statement, issued with the emergency declaration for residents, not to waste water. It's time for Californians to pull together once again to save water, he stressed, encouraging people to take shorter showers and limiting water consumption during everyday activities, such as dishwashing and teeth brushing, and added that all of us need to find every opportunity to save water where we can. Many other officials and agencies have also been asking residents to be more cautious about their water use, as many of the state's reservoirs are at extremely low levels, and they're expected to drop further in the months ahead. At this point, California's 154 major reservoirs are already collectively at 71% of where they generally are. Federal climate analysts with the National Integrated Drought Information System underscored that the outlook for the state's reservoir levels recovery is grim in their latest report. The report also highlighted that authorities should brace for another potentially devastating and record-breaking wildfire season, as dry conditions are only expected to get worse. Last year, during the previous wildfire season, almost 4.1 million acres were destroyed by the flames. Tens of thousands of buildings were completely burned, and 31 people tragically lost their lives. According to federal monitoring systems, such extreme weather conditions have started to develop 1 year ago, in May 2020. But now that we're at the second consecutive year of drought, which is defined by a hot summer and very little rainfall during winter months, by May this year, the dry weather had spread across 93% of the country's southwest, and in California, 38% of the region was classified at the highest level of drought of all times. This isn't just a weather emergency. This is a huge crisis of extraordinary proportions that isn't likely to go away anytime soon. It really stands out how rapidly this drought has developed and intensified, outlined Brian Fox, a climatologist, during a webinar this week hosted by the NIDIC. Experts revealed that Northern California's reservoirs have been affected the most, as they heavily depend on the rapidly disappearing mountain snowmelt. And now, two of the largest reservoirs, Lake Shasta and Lake Oroville, have respectively dropped to 44% and 39% of their total capacity. In March, anticipating reservoirs would decline, the California Department of Water Resources reduced the expected water allocation of farmers and growers to 5%, sparking tumult amongst farmers of the state's agricultural belt, which is going to be hit hard by the megadrought. The last drought that ravaged the state took place between 2014 and 2016. Back then, the agriculture industry had losses of roughly $3.8 billion, and over 500,000 acres just could not produce due to water shortages. This year, across several water-stressed farming areas of the state, farmers and ranchers have already begun to cull crops, remove productive trees to other lands in an attempt to divert the little water reserves they have to other crops, as well as fallow fields, and thin their herds in preparation for what lies ahead. Some of them are being forced to make heartbreaking decisions as their farms won't have enough water to function normally this year. Amongst them is Joe Del Bosque, a farmer based in Fresno County who recently revealed to the Bay Area News Group that he had to destroy 100 acres of organic asparagus. It's a really sad day, Del Bosque said, arguing that he was forced to destroy his asparagus crops in order to divert the precious water to more valuable melons. The water is so uncertain this year, we just didn't think we'd have enough to carry it through. Just like him, many other farmers in Fresno and Merced counties are having to abandon hundreds of thousands of acres of lower value, high water crops for more valuable produce. But even though Del Bosque hasn't given up on this year's crops just yet, he argues that the attempt to salvage his melon produce may lead to nowhere. We're taking a big risk in planting crops and hoping the water gets here in time, he said. Countless other farmers are also uncertain whether their crops will survive and whether their efforts will pay off at the end of the season. The truth is that many of them fear a widespread historic crop failure could be looming. Daniel Hartwig, another farmer based in Fresno County, said that he is not taking any chances. We're removing 15-year-old prime production almond trees, he said. We're pulling out almost 400 acres simply because there's not enough water in the system to irrigate them, and long-term, we have no confidence that there would be water in the future. There's very little water available on the market, so even if you could get water, it would be exorbitantly expensive, he pointed out. Hartwig, who serves as the president of the Fresno County Farm Bureau, said that most farmers in the region buy water from the Westlands Water District, a contractor of the federal Central Valley Project. However, after the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation determined the allocation of only 5% water supplies to Westlands, they had to suspend even that amount across the region, which is now suffering the most severe water crisis. It's one of those existential years in California when we've got an extreme drought and farmers are going to be hurting all over the place, lamented Chris Schuring, California Farm Bureau Senior Counsel. Some folks may be able to default to groundwater, but it's going to be a very, very tough year for farmers. This really brings home the fact that the state has been too slow in building additional infrastructure that could have captured more water in previous wet years. On top of all that, tens of millions of salmon raised in the state are at risk of dying, as waterways are going to be too shallow and too hot for them to safely make their journey to the Pacific Ocean. Officials are figuring out ways of transporting the fish on trucks to sites across the coast. That is to say, tons of salmon and other fish grown in California will never make it to the stores this year. And considering that the state typically produces 99% of the artichokes consumed in the country, as well as 81% of almonds, 99% of walnuts, 97% of plums, 97% of kiwis, 95% of garlic, 95% of celery, and numerous staples we eat on a daily basis, United States consumers should prepare for shortages on a wide range of food products, and of course soaring food prices all across the nation. This is clearly evolving into a major national crisis, and the most complicated part of it is the fact that without any rain, there's no way to reverse this emergency and avert a series of disasters. The biggest worry today is whether there'll be enough clean water for residents to consume, as irrigation water for agricultural land is already off the picture. In Butte County, Lake Oroville is at dangerously low water levels, and the lake usually provides drinking water for roughly 25 million California residents. But lately, water has been so low that houseboats are being hauled out by the dozens. Owners are reporting that government mandates are forcing the removal of their boats from the water no matter what. Local reports expose that owners are being given the choice of either hauling their own boats away or paying the state to rent the parking lot. For months, houseboat owners had to descend lower and lower to keep up with descending water levels, but they may not be able to return to the lake in the foreseeable future because by October, the lake will have hit its lowest levels. As the drought emergency aggravates, and with no hope that things could turn around anytime soon, the California Department of Water Resources has warned that severe water restrictions might be put into place over the coming months. The situation is getting so calamitous that you can see receding reservoirs with bathtub rings of newly exposed earth and crops withering in the fields as dust bowl conditions gradually take over the state. But California is far from alone. Most parts of the western half of the country is also being gripped by this megadrought. The California crisis is just the first one to show its alarming effects. As the summer approaches, we will see more drying lakes, crops being destroyed, and devastating dust storms across several other states. Once again, we're headed to another tough season, and we should all watch the future developments of this crisis very carefully, keeping in mind that since our food prices have already been rising to astronomical highs, and this mega drought is about to send them soaring even higher, we have said it before, and we're gonna say it again, stressing this time, get prepared for the looming shortages. And stock up on the goods you will need over the next few months, because things are going to spiral out of control in our food supply chains very soon. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, we've reason to believe you will enjoy Lost Prophecies of the Future of America. It's the latest book from the economic collapse writer Michael Snyder. Check it out. And please don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. We'd love to hear from you. Keep tuned for the next video.